Hi and welcome to InsideTracks.co.uk, the website and YouTube channel that tries to help you to trade smarter. If you like this video, please do click the red button and subscribe. If you like it as well, do that. That will be much appreciated. Or leave a comment if you want. And if it's one that I think is great, I'll do as much as I can to implement it. If you've got a question, I'll try and answer it. Okay, today we want to make more money scalping, don't we, using Betfair. But there are ways you can do it without any effect on your chances of success, but will be giving you greater returns. So that would be quite useful, I think. It's about choosing the right horses in the right races. So we'll go and have a quick look at that, one moment. Okay, so we're talking about picking the right horse in the right race. Now, what I worked out here is a spreadsheet which shows you, first thing you need to look at is the range. So from 1.01 to 1.99, that's the price range on Betfair. 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 to 10, 10 to 20, and so on down. Here is the point or the tick difference. So in the range 1.01 to 1.99, the tick is 0.01. And so we go up to the tick being 5 in between 50 and 100 and above. So what you see here is that actually, if I stake £100, and I get one tick, so I stake £100 at, say, 1.79, and I then make that 0.1 by cashing out or taking £100. So I back at 1.79, I lay at 1.78. I have therefore got one tick in the scalping range, 1.01 to 1.99. My return, or the amount of money that I would get as a result of that, is 0.01 times 100, so I have £1. And if I wanted to then cash that out across the range, then I'm going to get somewhere between 0.05, which would be the evens, and 1%, which would be I get my whole pound back, i.e. I get it at 1.01. So I can get a cash out of 0.05 to 1, i.e. from that 0.01 tick that I've made, bet £100, get the tick, get £1 return. I can get 50p or £1, depending on where I am in that range and how I cash out. So the best for me in this one is to be at 1.02 and then lay it off at 1.01 and then cash out, because I would get the whole pound back. Okay, so I get 1% return. So the best possible horse I could back in this area is a horse that's so far odds on that I can make my tick and then I can cash out. So that is the best possible horse to choose, a horse at 1.02 that I can lay off at 1.01. I'll get £1 for my £100 and I'll get 1% back for every time I manage to do that. Okay, so that's unusual. You don't normally get a 1.02 horse. Normally they're in the sort of, rarely do you get better than sort of, I mean, lowest odds horse I've ever seen is 1 to 9. So it's 1.1 or 1.1 to 1.09. And then you're not getting your full 1%. So, okay, what about in the 2 to 3 range? Well, we are, again, the tick's gone up, 2.02, £100. We make one tick profit, which is £2, and then we lay that off. So we can get it, if we say got 2.02 to 2, yeah, that's the best one we can do. And then we have an even shot, so we go to a £1 cash out. That's 1% on our stake. So this is how we're working it through. If we were at 3 and 2.98, then we get the £2. We cash out at 2.98, which would give us 0.66%. So that's what we're doing. Sorry, let's forget that. I haven't done that now. Shit. Oh, sorry about that. So yeah, you see me in all my glory in my room talking, but we're now moving into higher rates of return. As we move up into the 3 to 4, we're getting a 0.05 per tick, then 0.1 per tick. So when we're getting 1.1 per tick, and we have a stake of £100, then our return is £10, and we're looking to cash that out over a range of between 3 to 1 and 5 to 1, and then you actually wind up with a return, a cash out of 1.66 to 2.5. So again, what we're looking for in this area is to actually make our £10 return at the lowest end of the range. That's the point. If you can make your £10 at the lowest end of the range, then you make your higher end of the range return. So as we move out, so we've got a 4 to 6, we've got a 6 to 10, we start seeing that the return for one tick is growing. So where's your best position to be? Well, actually, your best position to be, if you can find a 10 on Betfair, so 9 to 1 shot, a 10 on Betfair, and you're talking about 10.5 and 10, if you can back it at 10.5 and lay it off at 10, then you make 50 quid on your £100 stake, and you can then cash that out for a £5, and you will then get a 5% return on your money from that one transaction. You can see 5% up here, you see 4, so on and so forth. Now, so you can make more than 5%. Here's 6.66, and here's a 10. The issue you've got, and you will have when you're doing scalping, is that now we've decided we want to look for a horse that is 10 on Betfair, 10.5 back and 10 lay. And if we can do that with a £100 stake several times, we will get 5%, then 10%, then 20, 15, 20, 25, 30. So that's the first thing. We can make decent money out of it by repeatedly doing the 10.5 to 10 trade. So what do you need in terms of getting that situation? Well, the first thing to note is that obviously, if you have a race with a horse which is in this range here, it's liable to be favourite for a start. And secondly, it's liable to be very liquid, because the shorter the odds, the more like a favourite it is. So liquidity goes very high here, and it goes lower and lower and lower and lower until you get a horse that is 100 on Betfair, where the amount of money, if you try to put a £100 bet on, you might take some significant time to get that £100 stake away, and then you probably take even more time to get that £100 stake laid again. So actually, out here, a £100 stake to get you 5 points on per click or per tick will take a very long time and won't be very sure. And in that very long time that it takes to get your stake away and then to get it laid again, you're unlikely to be able to predict what's going on in this market. So up this end of the scale, only in races that have an enormous amount of money going on them will you find the liquidity to do any of this kind of scalping out at this end. Equally, you don't want to be down this end necessarily, because you're making, well, certainly not in the 2 to 3 and even in 3 to 4, because you're making fairly small amounts of money at reasonable odds, because 2 to 3 and 3 to 4 are reasonable odds. I prefer to be playing in this area where there's a much higher liquidity and try and get sort of 0.66 in the middle here, 1.5-ish. So choose a 1.5 and try and get the 0.66 for every tick. And of course, in this sort of area, if you've got a favourite at 1.5 in a decent race, then you might well be able to get your bet away and laid fairly quickly, space of seconds even. So that's the first thing to say is liquidity. High here, much lower as you go down. But in this sort of area, it could be okay in this sort of area, and particularly here. And when's it okay there? Well, in the area of 10 to 20 on Betfair, that becomes interesting in large races. That have on a Saturday that maybe even a classic race, the Ebor or something like that. You'll find you'll find the favourite is sat out at something like 6 or 7, and you'll find second and third favourites in this area in a big race. Therefore, the liquidity is high. So you can actually find that if you choose the right race, i.e., a race where instead of the usual £300,000 to £400,000 going onto the race, you're talking about millions going onto the race before the off. And particularly in that last 5 to 10 minutes when most of the money goes on, this is the time to think about doing this type of scalping. So the advice is, if you want to make decent money scalping, choose the right race, i.e. a big race where lots of money is going on and where a 10 to 20 priced horse on Betfair is something like second, third and fourth favourite. You're looking down this end of the scale, so you're looking for a 10.5 to 10 or 11 to 10.5, that sort of area. That's where you're looking for it. So you're looking for a Tote Ebor, second or third favourite, 10.5 to 10. That's what you're looking for. You're looking to therefore see off decent stakes, betting at £100 a time on 10.5, looking to get that back at 10. So how would you do that? How would you do that with least risk? Well, you're looking for a horse that is also very stable in the betting. It has been very stable in the betting. So you want to look at the chart and you want to see that this horse is trading in a very narrow corridor. You want to see it that potentially also, and please look at the videos, you want to check this, tends to be an overweighted horse. So in other words, there's more money being put onto that horse than you would expect from its odds. I won't go into overweighting and underweighting of horses, but overweighted horses tend to be more stable on the exchanges. So you're looking for a classic race with quite a few horses in it, where you are getting second and third favourites sitting in the 10 to 20 range, but we're looking particularly down at the 10 to 11 and 12 mark. We're looking at races where you've got millions going on before the off rather than hundreds of thousands going off at the off, and you're looking for a horse that is very stable, has a very stable chart, and is overweighted in the betting and is liable to stay stable. And that way you can get your £100 away and you can get it back relatively quickly. And if you could do that, then you're cashing out at somewhere around about 5% every time you manage to get your 11 to 10.5 or your 10.5 to 10 scalp away. Of course, I've pointed out that the very best scalp I can see off this chart, 10 to 10.5, 11 to 10.5, 12 to 11.5, that type of area where you're getting pretty much 5% return on your money, maybe 4.5% return on your money every time you manage to get a scalp through at 0.5. Now, that isn't every day. I've told you that is likely to be a classic race or one of the top races, Group 1 races, Group 2 races of Saturday, during the festivals, that type of thing, Ascot festivals and so on, where there's lots of money going on, and you're liable to see horses sat in this area around about 10. Normal racing, of course, doesn't exist like that, and normal racing is really about 300,000 to 400,000, maybe 500,000 pounds going on before the race. If you're at Ayr on a Saturday, Ayr on a Friday, the racing's going to be 400 to 500,000 pounds in a race. So where would you sit and look to get a decent return? Well, it's probably in this sort of area here, where the likely returns are 1.66 if you're down at the 3 level, or here 2.5 down at the 4 level. So this is where you start saying, actually, I'm looking for the same thing that I was talking about earlier. I'm looking for £100. I'm looking for a horse around about the 4 mark, the 4 to 4.1, 4.2 to 4.1, that type of area, where I get my one tick away. I back it at 4.2, I lay it at 4.1, and then I cash out at that 4.1. I'll be getting somewhere near to 2.5%. And that goes really all the way down. The 3.3 will happen at the 6 level, 6 to 6.2, 6.2 to 6.4, and the 1.66 will happen at the 3 to 3.05, the 3.05 to 3.1 level. This is these are the areas you should be looking at. So always look down at that level there. You're looking for an overweighted horse. Yeah. So again, I don't want to go into it, but look at my video on overweighted horses. You're looking for an overweighted horse. You're looking at a horse that is probably second or third, in maybe even down this area, or certainly at 3s. You're talking about a larger race. You're looking at it being stable. That's what you're looking at. You're looking at getting the chart up 10 minutes before the off. And you are looking at a stable chart, which is predictable and is unlikely to veer one way or the other. And that's why we say overweighted horses. That's why actually out here at these sorts of levels, you can actually see in these £300,000 to £400,000 races, midweek races, some horses that are sat in the ranges of 10 to 30, where they make significant changes in direction as the money comes for them in the last 10 minutes. So the advice would be, look for overweighted, stable horses this end of the chart, so 2, 3, 4, 6, and then you're making 1%, 1.66, 2.5, and 3.33. And I would suggest my area that I would like to play in is this area, the 4 to 4.1, 4.1 to 4.2 area, looking for a horse that's stable in that range, that hasn't moved around a lot, that is overweight in the marketplace, sitting at second favourite, and is very predictable that I'm going to make my 0.1 relatively easily. Okay, and if you're making 2.5% profit, you're making £2.50 for each time you make that trade. If you can make that trade 10 times in the last 10 minutes, then you are making 25 quid on that race. And so, that's good news. You might want to start with slightly smaller stakes, sort of 10 minutes out. You might want to go with £10, then go with £25, then go with £50, then go with £100 as it gets to the end, as you are more and more confident that you're building up a little bit of reserve. So if you had £10, a £10 stake, you would be making 25 pence each time. Do sort of several £10. You build it up to getting a couple of quid in the bank. Going towards the last 5 minutes, you'd want to say get maybe a tenner in the bank, so you're up from £10 to £25, so you get a bit more in the bank, and you're up from £25 to £50, getting more in the bank, and then the last 5 minutes you've got something in the bank to fall back on if it goes all pear-shaped in the wrong way, and if not, your £100 you're going to need to do, as I say, 5 to 10 of those, depending on how many bets you put on before, and then you can make £25 a race and limited any kind of liability to relatively low levels. Okay, good. I think that's probably done it. So if you want to make more money from scalping, using Betfair, it's not just picking any horse with any price. You want to be going for races where you can find those horses that I've just discussed, If you're going midweek, go for the lower priced horses, expect a lower potential return. But when you come down and you get into Saturday racing and the Group 1s, where you're beginning to see some decent money come on, where you're seeing the classics, where you're seeing the festivals like we've just seen at York just recently, but you're into the Ascots and so on. If you're in there and you're seeing millions of pounds going on before the race, then and you're seeing bigger races, in terms of numbers. So you're seeing 17s, 19s to 20s. I mean, if you look at Ascot, that's not untypical of the number of horses in each race. And at that point, you'll begin with the opportunity of liquidity and price to actually be able to scalp, and get a 5% return on your money relatively easily with good liquidity. So combine getting the right horse, the right price, in the right races, and you can make significantly more money scalping using Betfair than if you just did it randomly. So, you like this video, please subscribe, press the red button, and leave a comment, and all comments will hopefully make me get better, and any questions I will hopefully be able to answer them.